In this series of videos, I'd like to introduce a movie that I absolutely loved that might have gone under the radar by you. I'll try my level best to spoil the least number of surprises while trying to convince you why you should give this movie a go. Today's movie is the best underdog movie I have ever seen. It's called Spare Parts. But first, let me explain what ICE is. Well, not that ICE. It's ICE in all capital. It stands for US Immigration and Customs Enforcement. It's a federal law enforcement agency under the US Department of Homeland Security, principally responsible for protecting the US from transnational crime and illegal immigration that threatens national security and public safety. Oh, and they go around trying to find illegal aliens. That's their term for illegal immigrants. And then they report those aliens to whatever shithole country they came from. As this is about a movie, I'll try not to get any more political. Okay, so ICE is not that prominent in this movie, but it needed to be said. As you see, all four of our protagonists are Mexican-born kids who attend a scrappy working-class high school in Arizona called Carl Hayden Community High School. Are all undocumented immigrants who live in constant fear that they or their family members could be deported at any time. Let me introduce you to them. We first come across Oscar Vasquez. His lifelong dream is to serve in US Army. Everything was going great in Army Recruitment Center until he was asked for his birth certificate. Well, as he is, as one character euphemistically puts it, without papers. In the recruitment center, Oscar sees a TV report about an underwater robotics competition. Knowing there is a chance of getting scouted from such events, convinces their school's newest teacher, Freddie Cameron, to help. Oh, did I mention Aunt May is in this movie as well? Honestly, this is as real a coincidence as coincidence can get. She plays Gwen Kolinsky, a fellow teacher. More on this later. Cameron has a requirement though. He wants Oscar to find a couple of more kids, and then it's on. First recruitment is Christian Arcega, a bullied computer geek who is the brains of the operation, but not really a hands-down practical guy. Thus, we need Lorenzo Santillan, a shaggy-haired mechanical whiz who isn't above breaking into vehicles now and then. It's an underwater robotics competition, so they need to make a submersible. To lift the full-size ROV underwater, which will not be light, they need a big guy. Comes in Luis Aranda, a gentle giant who worries that people think he's as dim as he looks. Now, these guys are poor, and thus they scrounge for, yes, you guessed it, spare parts in thrift shops, home improvement stores, and storage rooms on campus. And then the full-scale model was born and baptized in water as Stinky. Now the coolest part, or as the young kids would say, bangers. I've been dying to say this since the beginning of this video. Before that, can I please ask you to pay attention to the screen, please? I promise it won't take long at all. Please let me have this reveal. So, are you ready? Now. Yes, it is based on a true story. I would say over 80% of it is correct. So, what's not true? Well, Gwen Kolinsky really didn't exist, is a lovely, supportive colleague character, and Freddie Cameron isn't real either, but a composite of two teachers, Freddie Lasvardi and Alan Cameron, who guided and mentored our fabulous four. That's it. The original four were Mexican and portrayed as such. I'm looking at you, 21. Near the end of this video, we'll talk about what happened afterwards. Back to our story. Well, they go to Santa Barbara, home of University of California, and we get our first view of the Nerdfest, that is the 5th annual underwater robot competition. So, what's the competition? Well, a World War submarine is submerged in the water, and your ROV has to complete certain objectives within allocated time. Each objective has a different score. First, it has to open hatch. The rest of the objectives can be performed in any order, but this one has to be done first. Then you need to identify submarine, followed by inspect captain's bell. As this is a World War submarine, it makes perfect sense that it would have an onboard Enigma, right? Well, that's the next objective, followed by measuring the length of the sub. Next, a simple temperature check. It's getting trickier at this point. Disarmed torpedo. And finally, retrieve a fluid. That damn thing is in water. Of course, we're talking about the best of the best, the top universities, cream of the crop, appearing in the competition. And reign supreme above all is MIT, the country's reigning robotics champion. We even get a hero shot of them walking. By them, of course, I mean MIT. And we get to see MIT's something that looks super cool. Earlier, we have seen our scrappy underdogs have to buy a tape measure as they didn't have enough money for the cheapest laser distance meter. And now we see and we hear, initiate dual laser. Damn, MIT rocks with their expensive stuff. Our boys, well, didn't really go as smooth as one would hope for. They missed a couple of challenges and ended up in 4th position. There is an oral remaining though. In any case, they had beaten 12 other colleges. For a bunch of undocumented immigrants from a scrappy Carl Hayden Community High School, that's a big deal. We get a beautiful shot of them. What is it? A reverse hero shot? Why did you use inefficient motors? 'Cause we didn't have money for the efficient ones? MIT spent $18,863 on the ROV itself, where our boys spent just under 8? As the judges are writing down 8,000, Christian had to clarify that it's 800. Actually, it's $787.16. But that doesn't include the tampons, as Christian didn't know how much those cost. Yes, there is a scene where the guys discover tampon. Oh, take your ugly mind off gutter. Did you know tampon can absorb 80 cc of water? There was a leak, okay? For those in economics or engineering would understand the price-performance ratio and how Carl Hayden kicked MIT in that respect. So Carl Hayden wins Special Achievement Award. Honestly, every time I watch this movie, I cheer and bring the house down. Even my 80 years old mom cheered at the outcome. We all love a fairy tale ending, especially when it's true. We even get Jamie Lee Curtis as the high school's surprisingly supportive principal, who by the way steals every scene, gushing at the end on her college's victory. It's emotionally affecting and dramatically satisfying and must be viewed as a triumph as improbable as the film's grand finale at the underwater robotics competition. Spare Part stays away from any overtly politicized view of immigration, but the message is the same. Bright, clever students are everywhere, and they can succeed given a chance. So, what happened to our Fab Four? First, after the story was published in Wired magazine, overwhelming responses helped setting up a college scholarship for those four boys. After the robotics competition and his graduation from high school, Christian also attended Arizona State University. But when his tuition increases, he was unable to receive the same support from the school that Oscar does, and he was forced to drop out. At the end, Christian is working at Home Depot and inventing things in his home at night. His story is placed in direct contrast to Oscar and also to the students on MIT's robotics team. Even though Christian has just as much intelligence and talents as they do, the failures of the immigration system means his promise is largely wasted. Lorenzo became a chef and with Luis started a catering company. Oscar? Well, he became a success story. After graduating from ASU in chemical engineering, his achievements were highlighted at the ceremony, which was attended not only by his family but also by the President Barack Obama. Few months after that, Oscar surrendered to immigration and was deported back to Mexico, where he spent 11 months working in a machine shop. After Senator Dick Durbin petitioned on his behalf, Oscar returned to US and got to fulfill his dream. He enlisted in the army and served in Afghanistan and became a US citizen in 2011. In 2014, the team was honored with a Hispanic Heritage Foundation Award at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. Guys, watching this movie chokes me up near the end. I can't stress it enough. Go and watch this movie. If you want to know more, there is Mary Mozzio's 2014 documentary Underwater Dreams. As you might have noticed that this is quite a new channel, and during this genesis, comments and subscribe counts a lot more than usual. So if you have enjoyed this content, please drop a comment and like the video, and maybe subscribe as well. Also check out some of my other videos. Thank you. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for watching and have a safe day.